Hello and welcome to Topical Top Tens here on the Football 365 show. I'm your host, Mark Smith. I'm here with Matt Stead, Deputy Editor of Football365.com. Matt, what is our top 10 this week, please?
Hello, Mark. Our top 10 this week, out of solidarity for everyone rushing to the shops to buy toilet paper again for no real reason, is the top 10 most likely panic buys in the final week of the transfer window.
Yes, top 10 most likely panic buys. Now, I do think there was a bit of there's a bit of an argument, wasn't there, between us really during this episode? Because I'm not sure you know what a panic buy is.
We've had a falling out, haven't we? Yeah, it's got.
Well, you seem to think any transfer made in the last week of a transfer window is a panic buy, and I just fundamentally disagree with you.
Well,
so look out for that.
That's absolutely fine.
Excellent. Well, enjoy the show. Right, Matt, let's crack straight on with it. Number 10, we've got Upamecano to Manchester United.
Yeah, there's reports today coming out about United being interested in N'Golo Kante, and obviously the perennially impending bid for Jadon Sancho, who they've basically played themselves over. They seem to be in a staring contest with Dortmund, who have essentially just fallen asleep out of boredom at this stage. But yeah, United, they need a centre half, and we've been saying it. We said it last week. We've been saying it for months now, and Solskjaer came out after the Brighton game. He said, the quote I've got here is that we've got many defenders here, which, while true, is a problem because not many of them are that good. Yeah, when you consider
they've just got people that are technically defenders.
Yes, I think he's probably counting like Marcus Rojo there and Phil Jones there, which they are by definition they are defenders, but
yes,
they're not
but no more
the standard to get United where they want to be.
But we've got an issue here, Matt, already, because I would say because United desperately need a centre-back, this wouldn't, in my books, be a panic buy. This would be buying someone for a position that is necessary. To me, Matt, a panic buy is someone where all your other targets have failed and you're buying for the sake of it. So I think this might come up quite a bit during this list. We'll see. But number 10 there, Upamecano. Number 9, we've got Thomas Lemar to Wolves.
We do. We want Thomas Lemar in the Premier League just for the song lyrics, basically, just for the if there's any justice and say if he goes into a tackle and it's a 50-50.
50-50.
Perfect, yeah. So yeah,
showing your age there, Matt.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think Lamar's basically ageless, isn't he? If you've got music taste, you like Lemar.
That's right.
Yeah, for Wolves, in terms of Wolves, I mean, they'll probably sign him for reasons other than that. They do need. Obviously, they've got rid of Jota this season.
Yep.
Sold to Liverpool, so they're kind of lacking that attacking variation. I know they've got Podence who they signed before selling Jota. Obviously, they've got a few other players there, but I think Lemar definitely. He's more of an attacking midfielder. He's got a bit more versatility to his game, I think, but he'd definitely be a decent player for him.
He's a great player. I'm not really sure what happened to him at Atletico because he was really hyped and it seems to have just gone off the boil for him. Is it just a case of, as it happens all the time, a player just doesn't quite fit a team?
I think it's as simple as that, yeah. I think there might be a case for Diego Simeone. He's obviously got a certain kind of player. They've obviously just signed Luis Suarez. They've got a strike force of Suarez and Costa. So if you don't know what the Simeone kind of player is, you do now. It's very much that kind
that
kind of shit house. But I don't know if Lamar's got that in his game. So
hopefully we'll find out soon. Number 8, we've got David Alaba to Man City. Now, after the horror show that we saw Man City against Leicester, Man City have already announced that they've brought in Ruben Dias from Benfica. You think David Alaba might be a signing to play alongside him, or would you see him at left back?
I think it'd be a bit of both. Obviously, if they're bringing Dias in, they've got Laporte there anyway, and he's very much kind of their Van Dijk, their Maguire. He's the player who, if he is fit, if he's available, he will be starting. That's pretty much nailed on. And they do struggle a lot without Laporte, so hopefully Dias can kind of bridge that gap. The issue that they've got there. Obviously, they brought Aki in this summer as well, so they're still.
This is what I was going to say. So this would fall in the category of panic buy if Alaba was to go, because they've already got 2 left-sided centre-backs. Mendy looks like he's fit. Yes, David Alaba is a fantastic player. We just won the Champions League. We know how good he is and what his qualities are. But that would be a panic buy to me, because you're bringing in another player who you're bringing in for the name alone, might not necessarily fit your system and fit the way you want to play, and there's no space for him. So, yeah, Alaba to City definitely should be on the list. Great player. Wouldn't quite work, I don't think. Right, number 7, a player who I'm not sure how to say his name, I'm going to go with Ntcham to West Brom.
I think that's a safe bet. Big Olivier at Celtic is. I think we've spoken before about West Brom's defensive problems, and they've actually conceded the most ever goals by any Premier League team after the opening 3 games. So there's
You've
been
researching again.
I've done it. There's another stat there for you, Mark. So yeah, there's clearly an issue there that Bilic has got. I don't know. They're after a couple of defenders, but I think if you even look at the midfield, they've got Jake Livermore and Romain Sawyers there. I don't think they're of that kind of Premier League standard. It's a very Championship midfield.
Yes.
And I think that they've brought Gallagher in from Chelsea, and I think they're trying to look at getting Kravinovic back in on loan. And they're both kind of attacking midfielders. And Ntcham, to be fair, has been used as an attacking midfielder just at the start of this season, but I think he's got more defensive kind of statistics in his locker. Really, I think he'd be a good signing for West Brom.
Excellent. Okay, number 6, we've got Declan Rice to Chelsea. Now, Declan Rice seems to have been flirting with Chelsea pretty much since he got released as a schoolboy, but certainly this summer, Instagram posts and chatting to John Terry and blah, 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 blah. Is this one going to happen, do you think?
It's difficult to say. It's because, I mean, at the start of the summer, the price was kind of mooted at about 80 million, and West Ham were pretty much adamant that he wasn't going to go full stop. That was it. But we'll see later on this list. We'll discuss a West Ham one, but they've only signed one player this summer, and that was Thomas Souček, his loan was made permanent. They've not spent any money on that squad this summer, and I know they spent a bit in January. They brought Bowen in, and obviously even just the Wolves game last night, they've clearly shown that he's added something to that squad. Yes. But I think for West Ham, they've obviously made all these bids for Tarkowski and stuff, and there's clearly some money to spend there. And I think if you get rid of Rice as well, I think he's the only saleable asset in that squad, aside from maybe Bowen and aside from Souček. Obviously, they only joined. So I think if they want to get some money in, I think now's the time to get rid of Rice.
Right, number 5, we've got Fofana to West Ham. Now, we touched upon West Ham a second ago. Why is Fofana a decent shout for a panic buy for them?
I think any player for West Ham's a decent shout for a panic buy. They obviously like to throw their money around. David's Gold and Sullivan, they always come out in the transfer window. They always make these big statements. I remember a few years ago they were talking about signing Zlatan Ibrahimovic, which was absolutely hilarious.
It's not like West Ham's board to make these huge claims, is it?
Yeah, it's very strange. Completely out of character at the time, wasn't it? But yeah, they've been after a centre half all summer, basically. They've been after Tarkowski, and they keep on upping those bids by about 1 million each time, and it's not something that's going to attract Burnley. But for Fofana, obviously, Leicester have been after him. By all accounts, he wants to move to the Premier League, and he looks like a decent young centre half. I think he'd do a good job for West Ham, and especially, like we say, if they wanted to cash in on Rice now, they'd have an ideal replacement there.
Absolutely. Right, number 4, Josh King to Spurs.
Yeah, Josh King, I think if Spurs did do this one, they'd leave themselves in a bit of a precarious position. Obviously, they've got Harry Kane already. If they played Josh King alongside him, they couldn't bring Robbie Keane back because of the initialism. It'd obviously be quite problematic. But they do need a striker. And Josh King, obviously, he does have Premier League experience with Bournemouth. He was being kind of courted by Manchester United even just earlier this year. And he's a decent player. I think the issue Spurs have found with trying to find this kind of backup striker for Harry Kane is that some players wouldn't be too happy, because Kane wants to play every single game. He wants to play in the Europa League against Moldovan farmers and in League Cup second round games. But
he wants goals, doesn't he? So he wants to play in those games because he can bump it up.
He's desperate. Yeah, he's absolutely desperate. And the problem is that his ankle will eventually go. That's a given. It will be next month, just before the England game.
Yeah, but this is why you need to manage Harry Kane. You need to know that he is absolutely desperate to score as many goals as he can in his career. So he will play every minute that he can. They need a manager in there, and hopefully Jose is the guy who can say, look, you can take off half an hour every now and then. We can take you off after 60 minutes. You don't have to play this game at all. We can rotate you. And that way you won't have what seems to be your annual customary 3 months off with a hamstring or ankle injury. For the sake of his long-term career and for the sake of England, I just really want a backup striker for him. And yeah, Josh King is a perfect example of that. He's someone who I think might be, this is no disrespect to Josh King, but he might be happy sitting on the bench of a big club, whether that be Spurs. I know United have been mentioned as well, but he might be someone who is quite happy to do that, still get 20 starts a season over all competitions, and still see 20, 30 minutes a game. So I think it'd be a perfect signing. Right, let's move on. Number 3, we've got Harry Wilson to Burnley.
Yeah, he's another one who I think he impressed in bursts for Bournemouth last season. I think by the end of the campaign, it was kind of obviously they went down, and for him, he probably felt like he didn't do enough to keep them up. But he scored 7 goals, but he didn't get a single assist, which, I mean, in that team, it was always set up to attack under Eddie Howe, and you'd hope for an attacking midfielder, a winger, they'd be able to produce better numbers than that. But, I mean, it's
difficult. He got an injury as well, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. And it's difficult for him because he's not really, that was his first kind of proper spell in the Premier League. He's obviously had a few loans at some really bad championship clubs, which you might know about. But yeah, for Burnley, it would make sense. They've not spent a great deal this summer. Sean Dyche is kind of, I think he's been battling with the board a little bit in terms of investment. Yeah. So far this season, the players that played on the right wing have been Robbie Brady and Josh Brownhill. And I mean, with all due respect to them, I think they're probably players that you can look to improve on if you've got the money there and if you've got the options there to sign.
And I've got to say that the inverted winger that Harry Wilson is on that right hand side, cutting in onto his left, complemented by Dwight McNeil on the left as a proper traditional winger. That's quite an exciting attack, particularly with Chris Wood in the middle, getting on the end of some of them crosses. I'd like to see that. Number 2, we've got Juan Foyth to Fulham.
We do have Juan Foyth to Fulham. He's pretty much fallen completely out of favour under Jose Mourinho. He's made 3 appearances under Mourinho. One of them, he played a single minute. Mm-hmm. Another one, he started in the Premier League against Norwich in December, and he was subbed off after half-time after making a quite big mistake for their opening goal. Yep. And then he played in Spurs' kind of second-string team against Bayern Munich when they lost 3-1 in the Champions League group stages. So he's not got a place at Spurs under Mourinho. I think that's pretty much clear. He
sounds like a Fulham player already.
Yeah, exactly. He was very much a Pochettino project. So, and for Fulham, we've spoken before again about their need for a defender. They tried to get Marlon in. I think it's from Serie A, and he's failed at medical in a typical George Boyd bad eye site and stuff like that. Hopefully, it's something to do with that. But yeah, they've clearly got the money, and they've definitely got the incentive to bring someone in. It might be a loan. It might be a case where he just comes in for the season. They see how he does. And Spurs, because then it suits Spurs. Then he's got a bit more experience to his name. They could kind of evaluate the situation after a few months, maybe give him another chance or maybe sell him on.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, number 1 in your top 10 list here, Matt, this week. It's one that would really excite me, and I wouldn't see as a panic buy at all. It's Ryan Brewster to Sheffield United.
Yeah, I think in terms of it being a panic buy, it would be...
It's not a panic buy. You're wrong about this. Not a panic buy.
It kind of would be, though, wouldn't it?
Would it improve the team?
It would improve the team.
Is it a position they need to be upgraded on?
Well, that's the point. They've waited until the last week of the transfer window and until their 3rd goalless game to start the new season to decide. I mean, they've been after Brewster and they've been after a couple of other strikers all summer.
Yeah.
But they've waited this long, and we've spoken before again. It's like they've got 4 decent strikers to fit their system. But you look at McGoldrick and you look at Billy Sharp and you look at McBurney and Mousse, and you kind of think, as good as they are and as much as they suit that system and as much as you can't really define them by their goals, at the end of the day, they are strikers, and Sheffield United do lack that kind of that goal threat. They do lack that striker who's going to be able to convert those chances. We saw against Leeds, they created chances. That's not been a problem for them. But when they've got it was John Lundstrom racing into the box in the first half. It's an incredible save, but that's the kind of position that you'd want Brewster in, or a striker who's proven himself at a certain level. You could definitely improve there.
Yeah, they need a fox in the box. They need a 20-year-old Francis Jeffers is what they need. Right, Matt, that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you very much for joining me. If you guys at home want to get in touch with the show, you can email us is the editor at football365.com. Until next week, goodbye.